Okay, so last time we finished the Battle of Uhud, right, and how it was a victory for the Muslims initially, but then the tides turned when Khalid ibn al-Walid, he saw that the Muslims, they have left their positions on the mountain of the archers. 40 of those archers left, and therefore Khalid ibn al-Walid led a counter-attack, and in that counter-attack, many Muslims were martyred, and also Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was also injured in that counter-attack. Okay, so then the victory, what was supposed to be a victory, was converted into a defeat because the Muslims, they started collecting war booty, and in that collection of war booty, they forgot that the Quraysh were still there within a distance in which they could attack, and therefore the military genius of Khalid ibn al-Walid saw this weakness, and he led the counterattack and converted that defeat for the Quraysh in a victory. Okay. Now, after the Battle of Uhud, the Muslims and the Quraysh, they pledged that they are going to fight again next year. Okay, and this is what happened. I mean, this is what happened in terms of preparations, that the Muslims and both the Muslims and the Quraysh, they start preparing for a battle in the next year. So Battle of Uhud was the Shawwal of the third year of Hijrah, right? And then the next year, during the Shaban of the fourth year of Hijrah, then Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prepared 1500 Muslims, and they went to Badr, right? So Badr was the plain, and it was an open area, so the Muslims and the Quraysh, the pagans of Makkah, they could fight. Okay, and they went there. So before, when the Muslims were preparing, so Abu Sufyan, he was not in a mood to fight, right? Because the Quraysh, they already knew that the Muslims, they defeated them in open battle in both Uhud and also in Badr, right? So Uhud also, when there was open battle going on, the Muslims defeated the Quraysh, right? So Abu Sufyan knew that if they're going to meet the Muslims again, and now Muslims are burning with revenge as well because of the loss that they had incurred during the Battle of Uhud. So Abu Sufyan did not wanted to fight the Muslims, wanted no part of it. So he sent a person by the name of Nuaym ibn Mas'ud. And this person, Nuaym ibn Mas'ud, he later became a Sahabi. As we know, he'll play a decisive role during the Battle of Khandaq. And he was the sort of character who gets along with everyone. Okay, so he was also friendly with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and also the Muslims. He was also friendly with the Jews, and he was also friendly with the different tribes of Arabs. Right, he himself belonged to the Banu Ghatafan tribe, an Arab tribe, and he was trusted by both Abu Sufyan and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, so he was trusted by Abu Sufyan. Later, he was also trusted by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we'll see in the Battle of Khandaq. So now Abu Sufyan, he sent Nuaym to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he told him that to tell Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Quraysh and their army is very big, and therefore the Muslims should not show up. Right. So this was a plot by Abu Sufyan, and so that the Arabs, when they are going to know about it, so they are going to say that the Muslims did not show up instead of the Quraysh. Right. So then Nuaym ibn Mas'ud went to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he told him exaggerated stories about the preparations of the Quraysh and how numerous they are. So Muhammad said that I'm going to fight them even if I have to fight alone. Okay, and therefore 1500 Muslims then went to Badr in the Shaban of the fourth year of Hijrah, and 2000 Quraysh then left Makkah under the leadership of Abu Sufyan. And in the middle, as they were approaching Badr, then they started making excuses. Abu Sufyan also did not want to fight. So then they said that our caravans, our expedition, I mean, not our expeditions, our business caravans, they are not returning a lot of profit. So we should just go back home, right? Because our financial situation is not right. So we should just go back home, and we should rectify our financial situation instead of fighting against the Muslims. And this is what the Quraysh did. So they wanted an excuse to run away, and that is what they did. They ran away. They did not turn up to the Battle of Badr, what was supposed to be the second Battle of Badr. And then the Muslims, they stayed there for 8 days. So if you can see the map, in the map, we have already covered this map before as well, that Badr is closer to Medina, a little bit further away from Makkah, between Makkah and Medina. Okay, so the Muslims stayed there at the plain of Badr for 8 days in order to show the Arabs that the Muslims were there. They were prepared for war, but the Quraysh were the ones who did not show up. Okay, So now after the second Battle of Badr, there were also several minor expeditions, but we are skipping over them. So now another very important expedition that took place was the expedition of al-Muraysi. And in this expedition, the tribe of Banu Muttalib, right, which was between Makkah and Medina. Now, this tribe was situated in a very prominent situation, right? So, was situated in a very prominent location. So, the location was between Makkah and Medina, and it was closer to Medina than it was to Makkah. Okay, so now that meant that if the people of Makkah they wanted to attack Medina, and if they wanted to retreat, so they could retreat and they can find refuge in that tribe. Okay, and this tribe Banu Mustalik was also allied to the Quraysh. So the chief of Banu Mustalik, his name was Al Harith ibn Zarar. So this chief was also friends with Abu Sufyan, and they were allied with the Quraysh. And they were also preparing after the Battle of Uhud, when they found out that the Muslims have been defeated by the Quraysh. So Al Harith ibn Abi Zirar, he started preparing for war against the Muslims. Okay, so he wanted to attack Medina. He wanted to surprise the people, surprise the Muslims and attack Medina. And then Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got to know about it, that Banu Mustalik are attacking the Muslims. So he sent Buraidah ibn Husayb to Al Haris in order to verify the news. When Muhammad Sallam, as we know, he had a network of spies around the Makkah and Medina region. So within that region, he had a network of spies, and he got to know that Banu Mustalik are about to attack them. Mustalik are about to attack them. So he sent Buraidah to Al Haris, and Buraidah went there, and Buraidah was a big and strong man. So he went there as a Bedouin. So he went there as a Bedouin fighter. Okay, so as a mercenary fighter. So let's say there were Bedouins who offered themselves to different tribes, and they said that we are going to fight for you, and you pay us this amount of money. So Buraidah was the one who went there, and he introduced himself to Al Haris, and he said that I am a Bedouin fighter, and I would like to fight with you. So Al Haris was happy because Buraidah was a big, strong man. So he said, "Okay, come join us." And this is how Buraidah got to know that the Banu Mustalik were planning to attack the Muslims. Okay, and he sneaked out in the middle of the night. Then he sneaked out and he went to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he told him that the Banu Mustalik are about to attack Medina. Okay, and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he verified the news, then he prepared an army of 700 men. So as Al Haris, he had initially planned to surprise Medina. So Muhammad Sallam did surprised him instead of him surprising Muhammad Sallam. Muhammad Sallam surprised him, and he prepared 700 men, and he took them to al-Muraysi, which was where Banu Mustalik lived. Right, so he surprised attacked them. Okay, and then in this surprise attack, there was only one casualty in which a companion of the Prophet accidentally killed another companion of the Prophet, right? So the companion of the Prophet who was accidentally killed was Hisham ibn Subaba. Okay, and then other than that, there were not any casualties. So there was only one casualty, and the Muslims got 2,000 camels and 5,000 sheep and 1,000 people as the prisoners of war. Okay, so Banu Mustalik were the ones who were preparing to attack the Muslims, and the Muslims instead surprise attacked them and took a lot of prisoners because of that. Okay, and amongst those prisoners were also one Juwayriya bint al-Harith. Okay, and Juwayriya bint al-Harith was the daughter of al-Harith ibn Abi Zirar. So al-Harith ibn Abi Zirar, we just discussed, was the chief of Banu Mustalik. Okay, and Juwayriya, she started debating, right? And she said that I'm the one who's the chief of Banu Mustalik, so I should not be a prisoner. Okay, I should be free. So she started debating, and then he went to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and she said that I should be freed because I am the daughter of the chieftain. So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that okay. So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was impressed, and he said that okay, if you are going to marry me, right, then you don't have to pay anything, right, and you will be free, right? So if you are willing to marry me, then you don't have to pay anything, and you're free. Okay, and then Juwayriya said accepted the marriage proposal, and therefore Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Juwayriya were married. Okay, and Juwayriya was the daughter of Al-Harith ibn Abi Zira. Okay, and in this particular expedition, the hypocrites also participated. So, any idea? Can anyone tell me why did the hypocrites participate in this battle? Can anyone guess? Maybe reason why did the hypocrites participated in this battle? The rest of the battles, they would run away. Why would they participate in this battle? Sorry? No, 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 no. It is simpler than this. Yeah, because they knew that they're going to get a lot of money and there's not going to be much fighting, right? Because the Muslims were surprise attacking them. Okay. So they knew that it's going to be a confirmed victory and they're going to get a lot of money. So they also participated. They wanted to get a share as well. Okay. So, and this is a very important point because they are going to be the one who are going to create a lot of chaos. After the Muslims, I mean, during the time the Muslims are going to return from al-Muraysi, when they're traveling back to Medina, the hypocrites are going to be the one who are going to do a lot of mischief. Okay, so we just discussed that Juwayriya bint al-Harith, she became the wife of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So then the entire tribe, after she became the wife, then the Muslims, they freed the entire tribe, and then amongst the people who were freed was al-Harith, the father of Juwayriya himself. Okay, and then he came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he said that he told him, I mean, he asked him to free Juwayriya, right? I mean, divorce and then to free Juwayriya. So then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if she wants to go with you, she is free to go. Okay, so then Al Haris went to Juwayriya, and he told her, he told his own daughter to come. Then Juwayriya refused, and she said that she is happy with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so she is not going to go. Okay, and then Al Haris also interacted with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was very impressed by the conduct and the manner of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he ended up accepting Islam. And with him, the entire tribe of Banu Mustalik also accepted Islam. Okay, so in this particular expedition, there was one casualty in which one Muslim accidentally died, and the result was that the entire tribe accepted Islam. Okay, and then as the entire tribe accepted Islam, all the possessions that were taken by the Muslims, they were given back to the tribe. Okay, and now after this a particular incident, amazing incident in which the entire tribe ended up accepting Islam. Then what happened was, when the Muslims were returning from al-Muraysi, they were returning back to Medina. So the dispute happened between a Muhajir and an Ansar, right? So the Muhajirun were the ones who came from Makkah to Medina, and the Ansar were the ones who gave them refuge in Medina. Okay, so then a dispute occurred between one Muhajir and one Ansar on water, right? So they were fighting on water. So the Ansar amongst them called the Ansar and the Muhajir young man who was fighting, he called them Muhajirun, right? So the Ansar said that, okay, come Ansar, help me. And Muhajir said, come Muhajirun, help me against him. Okay, and therefore the migrants, the immigrants, they gathered around the Muhajir companion, and the Ansar, the helpers, they gathered around the Ansar companions, right? And they started fighting, and the swords were about to be drawn. So then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, and then he said that, why are you returning back to Jahiliyyah, right? So he reprimanded them, and he told them not to return back to Jahiliyyah, right? And then he used a word which is that this tribalism and this fighting on tribalism is muntina, right? Muntina means that it is disgusting. So you should not be fighting based on your tribe, your lineage, right? You should not be doing that. This is disgusting. You should leave it. Okay, and this is the way of the Jahiliyyah, and Islam has come to eliminate it. Therefore, you should not do it. Okay, and when this incident was resolved, then the hypocrites who were there, who were led by Abdullah bin Ubay bin Sulul, so Abdullah bin Ubay, he became very angry, right? So he started saying things about Muhajirun, that we are the ones who gave them shelter, we gave them refuge, and we fattened the cow. That is what he said, right? So we gave them the shelter, we gave them refuge, we gave them our food, we fattened the cow, and now they are fighting against us. Okay, and then he started. He had some of his followers with them, and he started saying to them that it is the fault of the people of Medina that they gave them the refuge, right? They should not have given them, right? Now they think that they are as honorable as us, right? And he uttered this phrase that, by Allah, if we return to Medina, the honorable, which means that the people of Yathrib, the people of Medina, will definitely expel the inferior, the Muhajirun. So he said that when we return to Medina, we are going to expel all the Muhajirun because they think that they are now equal to us. Okay. Now, he was amongst his own companions, amongst the hypocrites, but there was one particular young Sahabi by the name of Zayd bin Arqam. and he overheard what Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul was saying. So he went to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said that I heard Abdullah bin Ubay say this to his companions. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Abdullah bin Ubay and he asked him if he said something like this. So Abdullah bin Ubay said he started taking oath that he did not do it. Right? I take oath by Allah, I did not do it. Okay. So then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam let him go, did not say anything. So Zayd bin Arqam, of course, naturally he was a bit distressed because in some sense his testimony was rejected, right? So because he's not really rejected in the sense that the Muhammad said that you are not reliable, but still Muhammad listened to Abdullah bin Ubay when he started taking oath, right? So Zayd bin Arqam became a little bit distressed. So it was at this juncture that Allah revealed this the surah, the chapter which is called the chapter of the munafiqun, right? The chapter of the hypocrites, Surah Munafiqun, right? And in that surah, Allah harshly rebukes the munafiqun about their beliefs and practices, that they say something and they do something, they believe in something and they say something else and they do something different, and they are enemies to Islam, right? And they do not want the Muslims to prosper, right? So Allah says that they are liars, right? And Allah also confirms Zayd bin Arqam's testimony that, and Allah quotes Abdullah bin Ubay in this particular ayah, that they say if we return to Medina, the honorable will definitely expel the inferior. But all honor and power belongs to Allah, His Messenger, and the believers, yet the hypocrites do not know. Okay, so Allah confirms that Abdullah bin Ubay was the one who said this particular phrase, and he rebukes and criticizes the munafiqun. Okay, in the 63rd chapter of Quran, which is called Surah Munafiqun. Now Abdullah bin Ubay, he has been exposed, and he's angry. Okay. Now, and the hypocrites have been exposed as well. So Muhammad sallam, he, after this particular chapter was revealed, he went to Zayd bin Arqam and he told him that Allah has confirmed that he was saying the truth, and therefore Zayd bin Arqam, he cheered up. And then Umar radhiyallahu anh, after this verse was revealed, Umar radhiyallahu anh was very angry, and he told Muhammad sallam that what we should do, we should get rid of the munafiqun, right? They are the ones who are trying to harm us, and they would kill us at any point. So we should get rid of them. Okay. So then Muhammad said that no, I do not want the people to say that Muhammad kills his own companions, right? So he refused. He did not do anything to the munafiqun. He let them be. He did not do anything to the hypocrites, even though the hypocrites were actively trying to harm the Muslims. Okay. Now, another very sad incident that took place during the expedition of al-Muraysi, when they were returning back, not during, but when they were returning back to Medina, was the slander of Aisha RA. So after Surah Munafiqun was revealed, now the hypocrites, they are exposed by Allah Himself. Now Abdullah bin Ubay is very angry, and he gets his opportunity to exact revenge during this particular incident. Right? I've put the entire hadith. The hadith is in Bukhari. Hadith is the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they are in the book of Bukhari. It is a 2-page hadith. So I've just so this particular hadith, Aisha radhiyallahu anh is narrating herself. So I have just trimmed it down to 1 page only. I'm just going to go through some of the portions of the hadith, right? Because this is Aisha radhiyallahu anh. She is narrating it in first person, right? So it's very useful to listen to the opinion of the victim herself. So Aisha radhiyallahu anh said that when Muhammad sallam was going to the expedition, then he drew a lot, and this is what Muhammad sallam used to do, right? So he drew a lot, and he after drawing a lot, so like a lottery, right? So in a lottery, whatever wife's name came, right? So she used to go with him. Okay. Now the name of Aisha radhiyallahu anh came during this expedition, so she began going. I mean, she went with Muhammad sallam to this expedition, and then as they were coming back, so what happened was that she wanted to relieve herself, right? And so she went to a distant place. So this is what the Arabs used to do. Yeah. So the Arabs did not had, of course, they did not had in the desert. They are not going to have toilets, right? So what they used to do is that they used to go to a far distant space and they used to relieve themselves there. So Aisha radhiyallahu did that. She went to a distant place and she relieved herself. And then afterwards, when she was coming back, she discovered that her necklace that she was wearing, it was a stone necklace. So it was not a jewelry because they were very poor, right? So it was a stone necklace, and that was lost, and that was the prized possession. So she started searching for it. Okay, and as she started searching for it, a lot of time uh, elapsed, and the Muslims who were staying there just outside Medina, they went with the caravan and they left. Okay, and Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala in this hadith says that the people who used to carry me on the camel came to my hawda. So hawda is, as we know, that the wives of Muhammad Sallam, they had to stay. They cannot appear in the public, right? So therefore, they had to stay within a tent. So as Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala was going, so there was a tent which men used to lift, and they would put on the camel, and then the camel would go. Okay. So Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala said that the people who used to carry me on the camel came to my hawda and put it on the back of the camel, thinking that I was in it. Right. So she's in this particular hadith, as you can see, the manners of Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. So she's not blaming anyone. Right. So she's not blaming the people who were carrying her, and she's saying that since I was very lean and I was very light in weight, so the people who were carrying me, they did not realize that I was not in there. Okay. And when she found the necklace and she came back, she felt sleepy and she slept. Okay, so she saw that nobody was there, and then she rested, and then afterwards she immediately slept. Okay, and as she slept, she woke up by a person who said, "Inna Lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." Right. So Safwan bin Mu'attal was a companion who was also behind the rest of the caravan. So when he was coming, he saw Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala and he said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un," because he had also seen Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala before the verse of the hijab was revealed, right? Before the verse was revealed in which the wives of Muhammad Sallallahu had to cover themselves. So before that, Safwan bin Mu'attal has already seen Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. So he recognized that Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala was the one who was alone and she was sleeping. Okay, so he said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un," and Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala woke up. So he lowered his camel, and Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, she sat on the camel, and he took her to where the caravan was. Okay. Now the hypocrites, including Abdullah bin Ubay, the chief of them, Abdullah bin Ubay, they got their opportunity. Okay, and they stooped to the lowest of the low, right? And they started murmuring and they started spreading rumors about the chastity of Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. And Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala says that after she returned to Medina, she became ill for 1 month. Okay, as you can see here. So ill for 1 month. So she had no idea what was going on. She was not going out. She was seriously ill. So the rumors were spreading all over Medina, and she did not know what was going on. Okay. Now one day, what happened? What happened was, and this is an important phrase, right? I was feeling during my ailment as if I was not receiving the usual kindness from Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So her husband, who was the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so she said that during the illness, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to be very kind before that, but during the illness, she was feeling that there is not as much kindness as it used to be, right? And from here, we can see the humanity of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that of course, this is going to affect him as well. If someone is attacking his personal life, this is going to be very traumatic for him as well. Okay. And he would just greet Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, say salam, assalamu alaikum, and then say, how is that girl? Right? So he would inquire about health, and that is it. Okay, not too much. So then Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, after 1 month, right, she went out with Mistah. Mistah was one of the companions, and the name of her son was Mistah. So she went out with her, and to answer the call of nature, to relieve herself. And then, so the Arabs, as they did not have toilets in the home, so they used to go out and they would relieve themselves, right? So Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala was going out with Mistah, and then Mistah, she tripped along her dress and she said, "May curse be on Mistah." Okay, so she cursed her own son. So then Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala said that, "Why are you cursing your own son? He is the one who participated in the Battle of Badr, right? So he's a noble companion and you should not curse him." So Mistah said that, "Do you not know the rumors that are spreading?" Then Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala said that, "I don't know anything." And then Mistah told her the rumors. And then Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, she went back, and she was, of course, she was very disturbed. And after that, she asked Muhammad Sallam to go to her parents' house. And Muhammad Sallam gave her the permission, and she went to the parents' house. Okay. And then afterwards, she confirmed with her mother that the rumors were spreading, and she said that night I kept on weeping and could not sleep till morning. Okay. Now, after that, Muhammad Sallam in the morning, Muhammad Sallam called Ali, who was, of course, his cousin, as we know, Ali bin Abi Talib, and Usama bin Zayd, who was the son of his adopted son. Okay, so his other adopted son was Zayd bin Haris, and his son was Usama bin Zayd. Right? Ali bin Abu Talib was his cousin, and Usama bin Zayd was the son of his adopted son, and he was also very close to Muhammad Sallam, his own house. He knew the wives of the Muhammad Sallam very well, so therefore he called two of them and he asked them for their opinion. Right? Usama bin Zayd said that Aisha Radhiyallahu is I know nothing but good about her. And Ali Radhiyallahu gave a practical advice, and he said that you should ask the servant of Aisha Radhiyallahu by the name of Barira, right? And if there is something, then there are other women as well, right? So Ali Radhiyallahu gave a more practical advice, whereas Osama bin Zayd gave a more gave an advice from his heart that Aisha Radhiyallahu was the one who, Aisha Radhiyallahu was chaste and very good, and she would never do anything like this. Okay, so then Muhammad Sallam, then after this, he inquired Barira, who was the servant of Aisha Radhiyallahu anha, and she said that she doesn't know anything but good of Aisha Radhiyallahu anha. Right now, Muhammad Sallam was hurt, so he went and he announced on the public, so who is going to punish Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul for me? Okay. Now, after he announced that, then Saad bin Muaz. Saad bin Muaz was the chief of Aus. So as we know, that Medina was divided between two tribes. Medina had two Arab tribes. One was Aus and the other was Khazraj. Okay. So Saad bin Muaz was the one who was from the Aus. So and Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, the chief of the hypocrites, was from Khazraj. So Saad bin Muaz said that if it is from our tribe, then I'm going to get rid of him. Then it is from the other tribe, which is the Khazraj. Then if you give the permission, then we are going to get rid of him. Okay. And then Saad bin Ubada, he was also a companion, but he was the leader of Khazraj as well. So the Jahili loyalty then emerged for a second in him, and he said that by Allah you cannot kill him. Right. So he felt that if Abdullah bin Ubay had been from the Aus, then Saad bin Muaz would not have said something like this, right? So Saad bin Ubada, he stood up and he said that by Allah you could not kill him. You will never be able to kill him, right? And then again another person from the Aus, then he stood up and he said to Saad bin Ubada, by Allah you are a liar, by Allah we'll kill him, and you are a hypocrite defending the hypocrite. Okay, so now one rumor, one slander, right? Now this is leading to so many ugly things, right? So as you can see, that false rumor, the damage that it can do is just unbelievable, right? So you can do a lot of damage to the families, you can do damage to a lot of people. So in this particular incident, there is a civil war that was about to be brewed, right? Because of the false rumor that was spread by Abdullah bin Ubay. Okay, now the Aus and the Khazraj, they are about to fight each other, but Muhammad Sallam calms the situation down. And then afterwards, after this incident, then Muhammad Sallam then goes to Aisha Radhiyallahu anha, and he says something which is very prudent. He says that if I have been informed such and such about you, the rumor, and then if you are innocent, then Allah will reveal your innocence, right? And if you have committed a sin, then repent to Allah and ask Him to forgive you. For when a person confesses his sin and asks Allah for forgiveness, Allah accepts his repentance, right? So very prudent advice, a very wise saying that Muhammad Sallam said to Aisha Radhiyallahu anha that if something like this is there, then you can ask for forgiveness. Allah is going to forgive. But if it is not there and it is a false accusation, then Allah is going to reveal something in your case, right, and in your favor. So then Aisha Radhiyallahu anha at that time, she wanted affirmation, right? So if you know that you don't want an if during that time, you wanted affirmation, you want someone to say that okay, you haven't done it, right? So Aisha Radhiyallahu anha, at this prudent advice, she was a bit angered, and then she went to her mother and she said that say something to Muhammad Sallam. Then her mother said, what am I going to say, right? And then she went to her father, which was Abu Bakr. So she said, say something. Then he said, I cannot say anything. What am I going to say, right? And then she uttered the famous verse which is there in the Quran, in which Jacob, right, the Yaqub, the father of Joseph. So when the brothers of Joseph, they threw him in the well, and then afterwards they took his shirt and they wiped it in. They just drenched it in blood, and they brought it back, and they said that he has been killed, he has been killed, he has been eaten, so it was not our fault, right? So Yaqub said this particular phrase, right? That Yaqub said, "Fasabrun Jamil," right? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. So for me, patience is most fitting against that which you assert, and it is Allah alone whose help can be sought. Right. So Aisha RA said that I'm going to be patient and I'm going to seek help from Allah. Okay. So as Yaqub alayhi salam also said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. Okay. So patience is the most fitting. Okay. وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. Okay. And then afterwards, a month had already passed, and these rumors are circulating. A month has already passed, and the whole house is in distress, right? So, as we know from these incidents like these, we know that Muhammad SAW was the true prophet of Allah, right? Because a month has already passed, his entire life is in chaos. And if he would have been a charlatan, a false prophet, he would have said something, he would have made something up. But then an entire month they are suffering, and the revelation is not coming. And Muhammad SAW could not do anything, right? Because Allah has not revealed anything. So after a month, and Allah reveals the verses of Surah Nur, right, which gives the punishment for the slanderer, and which also relieves Aisha radiallahu ta'ala of any sin, right, and says that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala is innocent. And the punishment for the people who false spread rumors about chaste women is then given that it is 80 lashes to anyone who spreads false rumors about chaste women. And Allah sets this punishment in the Quran in Surah Nur. So if we have time, then we'll go through the verses later. But if we have time later after the Battle of Khandaq, we'll go through the verses that were revealed. Okay. Then this particular last paragraph, I found it amazing, so therefore I put it in there. Right? So when Allah gave the declaration of my innocence, Abu Bakr, who used to provide for Mistah. So Mistah, if you can see here, Mistah and her son Mistah was involved in spreading the rumor. Right? So she cursed Mistah. Right? She said, Mistah, be cursed. And then her own son Mistah was involved in spreading the rumors, not creating, but spreading the rumors. Right? So there were 3 companions who were involved in spreading the rumors. One was Mistah, and the other was Hassan bin Sabit. Hassan bin Sabit, we'll discuss about him later, right? And the third one was the sister of Zainab bint Jahsh by the name of Hamna bint Jahsh. Right? So Zainab bint Jahsh was another wife, so her sister was sympathetic to her, so she was also involved in spreading the rumors against Aisha radiallahu anha. Okay, so Mr. One of the 3 who was involved in spreading the rumor, he was a relative of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to give him charity. He was not wealthy, so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to give him the sadaqah, the charity. And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he heard about the revelation, and then the innocence of Aisha radiallahu anhu was declared, then he said that I'm not going to give anything to Mistah anymore. He was the one who betrayed me, and I'm the one who is giving him charity, and he was the one who was spreading rumors about my own daughter. Then Allah revealed this verse, amazing. And let not those who are good and wealthy among you swear not to help their kinsmen, those in need and those who left their homes in Allah's cause. Let them forgive and overlook. Okay, so Allah is telling Abu Bakr to forgive and overlook. Do you not wish that Allah should forgive you? Verily, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Okay. So Allah said, Abu Bakr saw that, and he said that I'm not going to help Mistah anymore. He betrayed me. So Allah revealed this verse that do not swear, do not do this, and you should forgive Mistah and give him charity, continue to give him charity. And then Abu Bakr after this verse was revealed, he said that by Allah, I like that Allah should forgive me, and he resumed helping Mistah. Okay, he did not stop the charity, he resumed helping Mistah. Okay. And then Zainab bint Jahash, her own sister was involved in spreading the rumors, but then she was not involved because Aisha radiallahu said that her own iman saved her. Right? So she said that I'm not going to be the one who's going to be involved in this spreading this rumor. Okay. And therefore, this very sad incident in the life of Muhammad happened probably before the Battle of Khandaq during the 5th year of Hijrah, and it was resolved after Allah revealed the verses of Surah Nur. And now, finally, the third major battle that took place between the Allied forces and the Muslims was the Battle of Khandaq. So, in the previous session, we also learned about one of the 3 tribes by the name of Banu Nazir. They were expelled from Medina, right? They were plotting to kill Muhammad Sallallahu. So when Muhammad Sallallahu went there, we visited them. They plotted to kill him. They plotted to throw a stone and kill him. So Banu Nazir were expelled. Banu Nazir were expelled from Medina, and they had to leave their homes, leave their fortresses, and they had to go out. So they went out and they went to a place in north by the name of Khaybar. Okay, Khaybar was also a place which had dates. The Banu Nazir were famous for having date palms, so they went to Khaybar. And then from there, they wanted to return to Medina as well, of course, because they had the lands there, and they also had a lot of their fortresses there, and a lot of wealth was there, right, which used to be theirs, but then the Muslims now had taken them because they had expelled Banu Nazir. So they went to Quraysh, they went to Abu Sufyan, and they started talking about an alliance, right? So they said that we are going to form an alliance, and then we are going to attack Medina, kill all the Muslims once and for all, get done with it, and we are going to be the Jews, the Banu Nazir said that we are going to be the one who are going to finance it. And once we win the war, then we are going to provide you a lot of amenities, right? Such as the dates, such as a lot of food, such as a lot of money, a lot of wealth, because Banu Nazir were very wealthy. So they enticed the Quraysh by wealth as well. Okay. Now the Quraysh also wanted to fight against the Muslims because their own because of the fight against the Muslims that they were happening, that was happening, their own businesses were very much affected, right? So they wanted to fight the Muslims and they wanted to finish the Muslims once and for all as well. Okay, so they had the common objective against the Muslims, the Quraysh and the Banu Nazir, and they formed an alliance. Okay, and since the Banu Nazir had a lot of money to offer, so therefore the Quraysh and Banu Nazir, both of them, they reached out to different tribes surrounding Makkah as well, by the name of Banu Sulaim, Banu Asad, Banu Zara, Banu Ghatafan. So these tribes were also reached, and they were promised a lot of money if they helped the army of Quraysh and Banu Nazir with men, with logistic support, right, with logistical support, and also with provisions. So then they will be given a lot of money once Medina was invaded. Okay, so therefore the biggest army in the history of Arabia till that time, right, which was 10,000. 10,000 people were assembled, and their objective was to attack Medina, to invade it, to finish all the Muslims, right? And the objective of Banu Nazir was also to get their lands back, okay, and for the other tribes to get a lot of wealth from this. So now, since this alliance occurred, this battle is called the Battle of Khandaq, and it is also called the Battle of Ahzab. Ahzab means confederations, right? Alliance. So after this alliance, 10,000 people were coming, and Muhammad Sallam got to know about it because he had spies who would tell him about what was going on in Makkah. So once he got to know that an army, the biggest army in the history of Arabia, right, 10,000 people, they are coming and they're attacking Medina. So what he did was that he immediately, as was a sunnah, he called it a shura, which is you can say a senate, a parliament. So a senate, you can say, that in which people they give their opinion, and the majority of opinion is usually taken, right? Or the best opinion is usually taken, right? So now, once the shura was called, then Salman al-Farisi was a Persian. Okay, Salman al-Farisi was not an Arab; he was a Persian. He had came all the way from Persia. So he said that in Persia, what we do is that if there is a big army coming, approaching, then we dig a trench. Okay, so we dig a trench around a city, and then we protect a city from that trench. So his suggestion was accepted by Muslim because it was a novel. It would surprise the Quraysh, and it would also be it would also protect Medina as well. Okay, so they are going to build a big trench which the other army cannot cross, and they are going to protect the city of Medina from the other side of the trench, right? So the big trench is there. On the other side is the army of the Quraysh, 10,000 people. On this side are the Muslims, right? Now they cannot cross the trench except through a lot of difficulty, right? So the Muslims will be able to know who is crossing the trench, so they'll be prepared for that one. So, right? So this particular strategy could help prevent the Medina from being invaded. Okay, so the Muslims immediately started building the trench, and while they were building the trench during this time, which was Shawwal of fifth year of Hijrah, the month of Shawwal of fifth year of Hijrah. So at that time, during the time of the Battle of Khandaq, so there was a severe food shortage in Medina. Okay, people did not have food, and there was also the weather was also extremely cold. Like if you have been to deserts, the desert cold, especially during night time, is very, very cold. Okay, so it was very cold, and there was lack of food as well. So the Muslims, they are digging the trench, and there were several miracles that happened during the digging of the trench. Okay, and few miracles I'm going to state. The two miracles I'm going to mention is the miracle of Jabir ibn Abdullah, in which Jabir ibn Abdullah, he had just one goat, and he sacrificed that goat, and he invited Muhammad Sallam. So when Muhammad Sallam was himself digging the trench, right? So he was along with all the companions, he was himself digging the trench. So when his upper garment, it got up a little bit, so Jabir ibn Abdullah, he saw that there was a stone right on his stomach. So he would have stones in order to give an impression to the people that he's full, right? But he would not be full. His entire stomach would be inside because of the lack of food. Okay, so now he saw the stone, and he was sad by that. I mean, he was very sad that Muslim is not eating, or he's not eating anything. So therefore, he went to his own house. He asked his wife to prepare the goat. She sacrificed the goat himself. He asked his wife to prepare the goat, and he went silently to Muhammad Sallam and told him that he could come and he could eat. Right? And then Muhammad Sallam said that okay. He announced to the entire army that we are going to eat at the house of Jabir ibn Abdullah, right? So Jabir was not expecting it. He only invited Muhammad Sallam, but then Muhammad Sallam invited the entire army. Okay. So now Jabir ibn Abdullah, he was anxious. He went to his own wife and he said that now the entire army is coming. So then his wife said that, did you invite or did Muhammad Sallam invite? So Jabir said, no, I did not invite, Muhammad Sallam invite. Then his wife said that, okay, then it's going to be fine. Okay, then Muhammad Sallam gave him the instruction that do not open the pot. And so until I come, do not open the pot. Right? So then Muhammad Sallam came, and then they opened the pot. Then Muhammad Sallam blessed it, and then afterwards, he told 10 people to come inside, and then the 10 people ate, and then they were full. They went outside. Then 10 people came inside the house of Jabir. Then they ate, and then they were full. They went outside. Right. So 10 by 10 by 10. The entire army came inside the house of Jabir ibn Abdullah and ate the food from one pot only. Okay, so this was one of the miracles that Muhammad Sallam was blessed with during this time, and the entire army was fed because of this. Another miracle was that Muhammad Sallam, when they were digging the trench, so the trench, let me just go through this, right? So now Medina, as we know, we discussed it, that on two sides it is protected from the Harra, al-Sharqi and Gharbi. Harra means volcanic mountains. So if you have seen a volcano, so in a volcano, an army cannot go through a volcanic mountain, right? Because the surface is such, the sand is such that the horses cannot go through. So therefore, it was protected from two sides from volcanic mountains. Right? On the other side, there were other mountains as well, and there was towards the south there was Quba, and there were orchards. Right? There were date palms as well. And towards the north there was the mountain of Uhud, and between the mountain of Uhud and the western side there was this entry into Medina, and from this entry it was the most vulnerable. Okay, so from here, from the south, they could not enter. It was very difficult for an army of 10,000 to enter from the date palm, from the date trees, from the entire farm of date trees. From the west and from the east, they could not enter because of the volcanic mountains. Whereas from this side, they could not enter from the north because of the Mount of Uhud. But between the north and between this side, between the Mount of Uhud and here, so they could, I think it is the eastern side, if I'm not mistaken. So between the north, on the northeastern side, there was this particular place here, from which the army could enter, right? So the Muslims, they dig a trench in this particular place, right? And the Quraysh troops and the Ghatafan and the other troops, they're coming from this position, and the Muslims are camped here, and they're building the trench here, right? Which is where the Quraysh are going to come from, right? So this place is where the Quraysh are going to come from, and the other army is going to come from. And this is where Medina is vulnerable, and this is where they dig a trench. Okay? And this trench is about 2 kilometers long, and this trench was about 2 kilometers long, about 10 to 13 feet wide, and about 7 to 9 cubits deep. Okay, and they dug it in about 10 days. Okay, all the companions, they start digging it in about 10 days. They finished digging it in about 10 days. Okay, and during the digging, another miracle that happened was that Muhammad Sallam gave a exact place where they had to dig the trench. So he marked it with his stick that this is where you have to dig the trench. Now, when the companions of Muhammad Sallam, when they were digging the trench, then what happened? There was a big boulder, there was a big rock, and they could not break it. So they because Muhammad Sallam had placed his stick there, so they started discussing, should we go around or should we just stay there, right? So they decided that we should stay what Muhammad Sallam has said, right? So this is the innocence and the you can say obedience of the Sahaba, that they are not sticking that they are sticking to what Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, and they are not making their own decisions. Okay, so then they went to Muhammad Sallam and they said that this is a big boulder which is hindering in the building of the trench. So Muhammad Sallam came and he struck the boulder once, and the boulder split into the 1/3 of the boulder then split. Then he said that the Muslims, he basically said that the Muslims are going to conquer Asham, right, which is Syria, which Syria means the entire Levant region, which was under the Roman Empire at that time, okay, which was the superpower of the world. And then he struck it once more, and then 1/3 of the boulder again was eliminated. So therefore, he said that the Muslims are going to conquer Persia. Okay, I'm paraphrasing it. He said that I can see the white palaces of Ctesiphon. So I'm not going to say the entire hadith. I'm paraphrasing it, right? So Muslims are going to conquer Persia. Now Persia and Rome, as we know, at that time were the two superpowers of the world, two major powers of the world, and Persia was even stronger than Rome. Okay, so Muhammad said that the Muslims, when they were at the weakest, when they're about to be, when they're about an army of 10,000 is coming, they're about to be annihilated. So at that time, Muhammad gave the prediction that the Muslims are going to be the one who are going to go to Asham, the Levant region, and they're going to take it from the Roman Empire, and they're going to take Persia from the Persians as well. Okay, and then in the third blow, the entire boulder was dismantled, and he said that the Muslims are going to take Yemen as well. Okay, so this is an amazing prediction which came true a few years after the death of Muhammad. As we know that during the caliphate of Abu Bakr and Umar, the Asham, which is the Levant, which was the most important province of Byzantine Empire, the Roman Empire, and the entire Persian Empire was defeated by the Muslims. Okay. And then the main leaders of the allied force were, of course, Abu Sufyan, the chief of Quraysh, and Tulayha bin Khuwaylid. Tulayha, anyone knows? Anyone remembers who Tulayha was? Tulayha? Sorry? Sorry? Khalid bin Walid? Sibling? No, 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 no. Khuwaylid. So Tulayha bin Khuwaylid was from the Banu Asad tribe. He was one of the false prophets. So he became a Muslim during the 9th year of Hijrah, right? And after that, he declared his prophethood, I think 1 year before the death of Muhammad. When Muhammad was himself alive, he said that I'm a prophet. Okay? And then afterwards, Khalid bin Walid was sent to fight against him. And then his army was defeated, and then he escaped to Asham, to Syria. Right? And then in Syria, he amazingly came closer to Islam, and then he came back to Medina, accepted Islam. And he asked Abu Bakr for forgiveness when Abu Bakr was the caliph, and Abu Bakr forgave him, and then he fought against the Persians at the Battle of Qadisiyah. And then the final battle, if you remember, I did the series as well last year. The final battle the final major battle between the Muslims and the Persians was the Battle of Nahawan. And in that particular battle, Tulayha was the one who proposed the strategy to defeat the Persians, right? And that strategy was very was decisive in defeating the Persians. But then he himself was martyred during that battle. Okay. Now, after the trench was dug, then Muhammad had a plan that the Muslims are going to guard the trench. They had to guard the trench. If someone crosses the trench, then they had to immediately go out there and attack that particular battalion that crosses the trench. So while they are guarding the trench, they are shouting takbir. So Muhammad tells them to shout the takbir in order to give an impression to the armies that are standing 10,000 strong, in order to give them an impression that Muslims are full of energy and they are going to attack if you are going to come here at this time. Okay, so they are going there all through the trench, all kilometers, they are guarding it, and they are shouting takbir throughout the day, throughout the night. And Muhammad himself was guarding the trench. And Aisha RA says that because of the lack of food, because of the cold, and because of the stress of guarding the trench, right, the Muslims were so exhausted that Muhammad, when he was guarding the trench once, then Saad bin Abi Waqqas came and he said that now I'm going to guard so you can rest. So Aisha RA said that I have not seen Muhammad sleep like that. Okay, he was so exhausted by guarding the trench that he slept and he was snoring. Right, so Aisha RA only heard him snoring once, and it was during the Battle of Trench. Okay, now the most critical juncture happened when, from the previous sessions, we know that the Muslims, they were in alliance with the three Jewish tribes that were in Medina, but then two of them broke the alliance and they were expelled out of Medina. So Banu Qaynuqa and Banu Nazir were expelled out of Medina, and the third one, which was still in Medina, which was still allied to Muhammad Sallallahu and the Muslims, was Banu Qurayza. And the chief of the Banu Nazir, by the name of Huyay ibn Akhtab, he smuggled into Medina and he went into the camp of Banu Qurayza, the fortresses of Banu Qurayza, and he started convincing Ka'b bin Asad to join the army of the Quraysh and the Jews, right? The combined army of Quraysh and Banu Nazir. So Ka'b bin Asad, who was the chief of Banu Qurayza at that time, he said he initially he was he did not he was repelling the idea of joining the Confederates. But then afterwards, Huyay bin Akhtab, he started he started saying that we are going to receive a lot of money, a lot of wealth, so we can distribute amongst ourselves. He started enticing him, so he was enticed, and Ka'b bin Asad, he agreed to join Huyay bin Akhtab, the Banu Nazir, against the Muslims. And now the Muslims are being surrounded by 10,000 people who are willing to eliminate them at any point, right? At any opportunity that they see, they will eliminate the Muslims. And from within Medina as well, there's a treachery. Okay. Now the Muslims, they are, as Allah describes it, Allah describes the emotions of the Muslims perfectly. So I'm just going to read the verse. So remember when they came at you from above you, right? So from above you means the Azab which are outside, the army that are outside, and from below you. Below you means the army which is inside, the Banu Qurayza, right? So now from outside, the outside of Medina, 10,000 strong army which is there to kill all the Muslims. From inside the Medina as well, Banu Qurayza, which has switched sides, and they are also attacking from the behind as well, right? So now the danger is from everywhere. When your eyes grew wild in horror and your hearts jumped into your throats, and you entertained conflicting thoughts about Allah. Now, the Sahabi, their conflicting thoughts mean that they started having doubts. They started, not doubts on Islam, but they started having doubts on when the help of Allah is going to come. Okay, so they started becoming pessimistic that maybe we are going to perish in this particular battle. Okay, so 10,000 strong army, and the treachery has happened. Now they are attacked from all sides, and they began assuming that this is close to the end. Okay? And they were extremely hungry. They were suffering from cold as well. They were very weak as well. So it was at that time that their spirits started weakening a bit. Okay, and this is what Allah describes in the Quran. Then and there, the believers were put to the test and were violently shaken. Okay, so this was the most severe test. So the nights of the later nights of the Battle of Khandaq was the most severe test, because it was seriously cold. At any time, attack can happen from both sides, and all of them, including the women and children, could be killed. Okay? Now, there were minor skirmishes that took place during that battle as well. So Amr ibn Abdud, so he was amongst the warriors of the Quraysh. So he crossed the trench, and Ali radiallahu anh, Ali, who was the companion of Muhammad and also the cousin, he went there and they fought a battle, and Ali slayed him. Ali slayed Amr ibn Abdud. And there was another battalion that crossed the trench, which was the battalion of Khalid bin Walid and Ikrama. But then they started fighting, no casualty happened, and they withdrew. Okay. So minor skirmishes took place, and this is what we know of from the Hadith. We do not know of any other major skirmish that took place, but those minor skirmishes were dealt by the Muslims. But now the danger was that Banu Qurayza and the Quraysh, they are going to launch an attack simultaneously at the same time, and the Muslims are going to be sandwiched between them. Okay, so this was the danger, and this was a grave danger. Okay. Now, Allah, of course, the Muslims are persevering, so Allah's help comes. And what happens that Nuaym ibn Mas'ud, so this is the same Nuaym ibn Mas'ud that Abu Sufyan sent during the Battle of Badr, the second Battle of Badr, to convince Muhammad not to come to Badr. Okay, the first slide, if you guys remember. The first slide, Abu Sufyan sent Nuaym ibn Mas'ud to Muhammad to convince him not to come. Okay, so this same Nuaym ibn Mas'ud, who was interacting with Muhammad across the years, so he said later, he describes that during that time, Allah just dropped the love of Islam in my heart. Right? So at that moment, just something happened that he decided to become a Muslim. So he came into Medina, and he came to Muhammad and he said that I am going to accept Islam. Okay. Then Muhammad said that, okay, so if now you have accepted Islam, so we need some help. So Nuaym ibn Masud al-Ghatafani said that he was from their tribe of Ghatafan, so he was called Nuaym ibn Masud al-Ghatafani. So he said that I'm going to help, but I have an idea on how to help, but that will not be morally the most upright thing, right? So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that as long as it's treachery, it's fine, right? So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam uttered the famous word al-harb al-khita', which means that that war is trickery, it's deceit. Okay, as you know, Sun Tzu is the author of, right, The Art of War, and in that book, The Art of War, he also says that war is trickery, it's deceit, right? So deceit means that, for example, I've got 5,000 people, right, and I gave an illusion that I've got 10,000 people, right? And let's say I give an illusion that I'm retreating, and then I come back and then I defeat, I encircle and I defeat, right? So this is deceit, this is trickery. So Muhammad then gave him the green light to go and do and to carry out his plan. So Nuaym ibn Masud, he carried out his genius plan. So he first went to the Banu Nazir. He went to the Jews, Banu Nazir. Sorry, he went to Banu Qurayza. And then he said to Banu Qurayza that the Quraysh are the ones who are not going to lose anything from the battle. Okay. So the Quraysh, so therefore, if let's say the Quraysh pack their bags and go, then you are going to be the one who are going to suffer. So what you should do is that you should ask the Quraysh to give them 70 members, right? So that it is going to be a guarantee that the Quraysh are not going to leave. So you should ask the Quraysh to give them 70 noble people from among the Quraysh, so that it's a guarantee that they do not leave. And then he went to the Quraysh and to his own tribe, Banu Ghatafan, and he said, now the Jews, they have the Banu Qurayza, they have already switched sides, so they are now with the Muslims. They are going to ask 70 people from your tribe, and they're going to take and they're going to kill them, and they're going to say to Muhammad that we have switched sides and now we are with you. Okay, so this was a genius plan that was devised, and that is what he did. He told him, now there's a lack of trust developing between the Quraysh and also Banu Qurayza. Okay. Now, Abu Sufyan, about 1 month has passed in the siege, and nothing is happening, nothing major is happening. And Abu Sufyan then finally sends a particular messenger to the Banu Qurayza, and and then he tells them that tomorrow, right, which is the day of Saturday, it was the day of Friday on which he sends the messenger to Banu Qurayza, and he tells that tomorrow we are going to attack the Muslims simultaneously. So we are going to attack the Muslims from the south of Medina, and we are going to attack Muslims towards the north, and then we are going to just finish this once and for all. So then Banu Qurayza, when they heard that the messenger has come, and then they heard about the plan that the Quraysh are willing to attack the Muslims on the day of Saturday, right? So therefore, they refused to fight on the day of Saturday. Any idea why they refused to fight on Saturday? Yeah, because for the Jews it's the Sabbath, right? So they said that we cannot fight, it's the Sabbath. Abu Sufyan was infuriated. So the Quraysh were infuriated. What is the Sabbath? They did not know what Sabbath was. Right? So therefore, this already lack of trust has been developed by Nuaym ibn Masud, and now the Banu Qurayza is saying that we cannot fight on Saturday. So Abu Sufyan now is very angry, and he's also angry with Huyay bin Akhtab. Huyay bin Akhtab was the chief of Banu Nazir, and later his daughter Safiya bint Huyay would marry Muhammad as well. Okay, so Huyay bin Akhtab, he was very angry with Huyay bin Akhtab, and he reprimanded him. So Huyay bin Akhtab went to Banu Qurayza and he started telling them to join the war, but Banu Qurayza said that we are not going to fight during the Sabbath. Now, at that time, during Friday night, it was still Friday night, Allah then sends a storm as well. So as you can see that the desert storm is ferocious. So there's a lot of sand, there's a lot of wind, and it was extremely cold as well. Now 10,000 people are there gathered around Medina, a storm is coming. So Abu Sufyan then loses Abu Sufyan then loses the will to fight. And it was at this juncture that Muhammad sends Huzaifa bin Yaman. He was one of the companions. He was the keeper of the secrets. So Muhammad used to tell secrets to him and he would keep it. Okay. So he sent Huzaifa bin Yaman to go to the army of the Quraysh and to spy, right? Basically as a spy. So Huzaifa bin Yaman went there and he saw Abu Sufyan talking about the weather and everything, right? And Abu Sufyan said that we are not achieving anything from it. Now Banu Qurayza has also switched sides. They are not with us anymore. So therefore we should return. So Huzaifa bin Yaman then comes back to Muhammad and he tells the news to the Muslims that the Quraysh are not willing to fight anymore. Their spirits are broken, and they are willing to go. Therefore, after a siege that lasted for about a month in extreme cold weather, in which the Muslims suffered from lack of food, severe lack of food, and they were surrounded from both sides by the Banu Qurayza on one side and by the Quraysh, but the 10,000 army strong, the 10,000 strong army of not just the Quraysh but also the combined army of Quraysh and Banu Nazir on many tribes of Arabia. And therefore, this test was passed by the Muslims, even though there was a lot of hardships that were incurred. But then Allah, as the Muslims persevered throughout, Allah helped them with the storms, as Allah also mentioned in the Quran. Remember Allah's favors upon you when enemy forces came to besiege you. So we sent against them a bitter wind and forces you could not see. And Allah is all seeing of what you do. So Allah sent a wind, a storm, and the spirits of the Quraysh and the remaining army were broken, and they realized that they're not achieving anything with it, and therefore they left, and the 10,000 strong army was dispersed, and Medina was saved. Okay, and so after about a month, the siege was lifted, and the Muslims then planned their next move, and that next move, inshallah, we are going to cover in the next session. Okay. So, any questions? This is the end of the session now. Any questions? Sorry?
The map in the previous slide.
Yes.
The green ones and that is like the brownish, reddish, brown. What's
The brown, this one, brown?
the lines, yeah, the lines.
This is the trench, right? And this is northeast, if I'm not mistaken. This is where the Quraysh troops and the Ghatafan troops, they combined allied troops. They are placed here. They want to come to Medina from this place, and the Muslims are camped here. And towards the back of the Muslims, towards the south, is the Quba. As you can see, Quba is here, and the Banu Qurayza are here. And on the right hand side, sorry, yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, okay. You're talking about Jannatul Baqi. I don't think this is Jannatul Baqi. I'll have to confirm, but I don't think this is Jannatul Baqi. Yeah. This is the Prophet's mosque is here. So I don't think Jannatul Baqi will be that far away. But I'm not sure about it, honestly. Yeah? Oh, maybe it is. I don't know, honestly. This looks quite some distance away, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah? Yes. No questions?